Hi, Shaan. Firstly, welcome. I got a chance to see Natkhat, and it's a really like personally I love the messaging, the subtle messaging that on patriarchy that like like throughout the story. I want to know from you firstly, आपको किस तरह से अभी तक responses आए हैं? Like what are the messages or what is the kind of response that you have got अभी तक on that cut?
Yeah, we've got some great responses actually, some very good reviews, and I think the best thing about the responses that we've got is that when we were making it, we consciously chose a lot of small details and also unconsciously chose a lot of small details to be added into the film. While someone pointing out the conscious choices is indeed great and feels like चलो डाला था तो किसी ने देख लिया, the unconscious things that we were not very aware of sometimes, or but it's people's interpretation of things and how they have made sense of a few things in the film. That's actually the most heartwarming part of it all.
How important was for Vidya to come on board for a short film? Like because we don't see mainstream actors associating themselves with the short film genre. They will produce it, but acting in it is a different thing altogether. So I just want to know how, and she's done a brilliant job as does all the time. So how important was it for a star like her to come on board for this film?
So, to give you a little background, when we were writing and when we finished writing, we were thinking about the mother's casting. And Anukampa Harsh, who's my co-creator on the film, I call her my co-creator because she's cast the film, she's written the film with me, she's a creative producer on it, and she's also made those kids act. She's acting coach on the film, right? So we were jamming on possible names, and we realized that for the character of the mother, we needed somebody with pretty much two very important qualities. Of course, great actor, but at the same time, somebody who possesses a quiet strength within her, somebody who can say so much without and express a feeling of being strong without really opening her mouth and saying words. Number one,
Yeah.
because the mother is meant to be this mute, like cannot speak up, but still has a strength. And the second, the most important thing is somebody whose voice is so beautiful that a story seems really appealing. A large part of the film is almost a character in the film is the voice of the mother. So, and also the thing is, we also wanted somebody who is a voice for the women in our country, uh, an independent woman who's so the first choice was Vidya, basically. And Anukampa came to me with the list, and the first choice was Vidya, and I was like, I said actually at that point in time that while the choice is great and I'm totally for it, I just felt that this world of short films is not something that Vidya had done before. It's also not something that uh, such a big star had done before. And coming from the world that I do, I was looking at it very differently. That short film universe is looked at very differently by me. So I was expressing an apprehension at that point in time. But Anukampa told me that, listen, what is the point of making a film like this if it does not have somebody who can be the voice starring in it herself? Do you want to make a film which will be seen by like 15,000 people on YouTube? No. We wanted the purpose of this film is to send this message out to to the every parent, every teacher, every adult, and hence Vidya being on board on this film will ensure that the film gets the reach that it deserves, or it should get. At the same time, at the same time giving us great quality of acting. You know, so yeah, that's what her. I mean, her being on the film is a big reason also for the film to get made in the first place. Her and Ronnie both coming together and making this film with us, etc. So, yeah.
And also about the film, like आपने जिस तरह से ये movie में एक message दिया है, it kind of seems like like I'm not trying to give out a spoiler, but like realize that this is wrong? And is that something that you try to convey obviously you convey in a very beautiful connecting with the story that she's telling to her kids in the background and the reality that's happening. But can you enlighten more? आपने किस तरह से ये बाहर लाने की like certainly you try to convey the patriarchy that is in the society. तो किस तरह से how did you go about it? Can you tell us?
So, to rephrase your question, are you asking me about how we started writing it, with what in mind, and what were the decisions taken to keep that mother's character the way it was?
Yes, yes. Like there's one thing I noticed that in the end there's nothing that is told about the husband, what happens between her and the husband, but the son gets the lesson, what he has to get. So was that a conscious decision that was taken? Yeah, about that.
So, so to answer your question, I'm going to sort of go back to the genesis of the story, etc. So this story it started because of a trigger. It started because of one big news incident that happened about a big gang rape that happened in the country. One of many, of course, but it was one of those which just was a tipping point for me personally. Okay, I was very angry and I was saddened and I was just like, this is wrong at so many levels. And of course, all of us have a certain bit of prejudice in us and etc. etc. But this was that to its most extreme levels. And at that point in time, I thought that just to express what I'm feeling, I wanted to write something. Okay. And to also, in my own dumb, naive way, think that maybe I want to sit and find a solution to this through a story. Right. So I tried looking up a lot of things that what happens to women's oppression in India, how is it dealt with? Okay, and of course there is a lot that happens, but a large part of it has to do with the reforms after the abuses happen. Okay, so there is no. It's like COVID ke liye we need a vaccine right now. Okay, only then will COVID go. The disease will go after the vaccine. We'll get herd immunity, etc., etc. After the vaccine is out, we don't have a vaccine for patriarchy. You know, we only have curative measures. We have dawai. So I was feeling like, what is the one thing that nips it in the bud? And that to me was the genesis of the story, uh, about a mother and a child, and a mother taking curative measures right at the point when the child sort of starts going down that path. That's just the germ of the idea that we had. Now, as I started writing it first, I wrote a draft that was pretty much written from the perspective of a man. Okay, I was a man writing about female oppression. So Anukampa came on board right then. At that point in time, we've been collaborating on other things before. So she came on board and she brought a lot of female energy to the entire uh, writing of it, to the making of it in that sense, right? And it became a balanced gaze on the script as well as on the film in general. And a part of this entire thing that we are speaking about right now about Surekha's reality possibly not changing much. Surekha is the name of the mother. I don't know if I said that before. It is. She's never called that in the film, but that is the name of the mother. And so this entire thing about her reality remaining the same or not is something we deliberately kept it just like that because it does not matter. Uh, the story was about the changing of the child, and potentially when Sonu becomes 15 or whatever, 12 years old, a little more bigger, stronger, he will stand up for his mother. We have that hope in the film because of this that has been this will exponentiate and make him a good person. The learning that has happened at this point in the film, basically. So that was very consciously done by me and Anukampa, keeping that in mind, uh, because as much as the film is about hope, it is also rooted in realism, uh, for lack of a better word. Yeah.
Also, you have worked with a lot of other films. You've been associated with Masan. You've worked with Vinod Manga also. Uh, what have your friends spoken about your? You work with your friends in the industry like Guneet Mohan, Anurag Kashyap. So what have they spoken about your debut as a director?
Guneet, for that matter, has been extremely supportive. She's a trooper. She's a champion for the film. And I remember when the film was premiering, there was a live chat on YouTube going on, and she was just uh, she was Guneet Monga was writing on it, speaking to
Yeah.
all the audiences and stuff like. But she's been a champion. A lot of them have not seen the film also because it only premiered for that little bit of time. But everybody that I consider as my mentor or my friends in the business, they've all liked the film and been very responsive to it and congratulated me basically.
Also, because you work with Anurag also, he has launched his new production house, Good Bad Films. What do you think about it? And obviously, we had Phantom, which had to be decided. Now we have his individual production house. And as a friend, what do you want to say about his new production house?
I
Have
just
you
wanna I just want to wish him best of luck, and I want to watch Joke today. I think apparently everybody I know who's seen the film has said it's one of his best works, and it's a really different film from what he's made before. Somebody said that it has a happy ending, and it was funny for me to listen to know that he made a film with a happy ending. So it is unusual for him. So yeah.
And also, Shaan, you worked only with Phantom, so I just wanted to ask you, for whatever reasons that the company dissolved and the whole Me Too movement, would you, as a producer, individual producer, be extra careful with all these things in terms of a cost committee in your office, in your company, henceforth going ahead? Just as a producer, I want to know from you because you worked with Phantom, and what happened with them with this suddenly. So,
Yeah. So yes, and the thing is, I was not. I have worked with Phantom as a co-producer on Masan. I used to work with Sikya, which is a different company. So about the gender equality and women's empowerment and the Me Too movement, etc. I don't specifically have a comment about that. What I do want to say is that if whenever I'm producing, I make sure that the women on our sets are treated really well. And even as a director, I'm proud to actually say that for a film about gender equality, we almost had a gender equal crew in that sense on Natkhat as well. So, I mean, there's a large part of our film crews which are predominantly masculine, which you can't change, which is the lights and the art setting and all of that, which you can't change entirely, but uh, like keeping that aside, we had a pretty much gender equal crew. So yeah, I'm that's what I that's what we practice.
right, right. Also, Shaan, for short films as a genre, like you also said that having Vidya on board was like she's a star. So, how like do you see this happening in future more often that big stars getting associated with short films, and also how important is for that to happen? Because short films is a genre that is not seen as a mainstream commercial genre by the audience. There's a very limited number of audience who actually, I think, watches short films. So, is it important for big stars, A-listers like Vidya to associate themselves just to act in a short film to bring more eyeballs towards this genre? How important do you think it is? And what is the general reaction of actors to short films when you approach them for short
So the uh, I think what has happened in India specifically is that good things. The first thing is that actors, all actors, are gravitating towards tighter scripts. Okay, and a large part of the reason for that is OTT and the accessibility of good content now over a few years before. A few years before, what used to happen, if you wanted to make a film, you had to go through the rigmarole of not just writing it, directing it, but all the variables around the film, the star, the marketing, the PR, everything. Now
film?
that has been done away with. So writers have now had the freedom to write and express freely on paper and send it to actors. My limited experience with stars and with uh, tells me, and with all kinds of actors, tells me that I think actors and stars are all just looking for great roles and great stories to tell. They are all they're all artists, they are all storytellers, and they want to say great stories, right? So I feel short films also are, and this is nothing to do with short films. It is, I think every film sort of deserves its own runtime. So if a film story has to be told in a short format, it should be told in a short format. But if that short format is effective as a short, then, and if an actor finds it attractive and enticing enough, I think it's a great thing if that they work in shorts. And I don't know if it's important or not, but it is, of course, for a film which needs their audience way more than a film which is just about a director's craft. I think those films, at least, it is important for stars and actors to give their attention to. So it can be in any form, it can be as actors, it can be just as support or as producers. So yeah. And also, no, it is also a great place to for everybody across the board to display craft. I sometimes feel that because we limit ourselves sometimes to making big theatrical films with accessible content, this is a place where you can experiment a lot more. Uh, so yeah.
And as a producer, did you ever have to, like, did you ever face any challenges in convincing an actor for a particular part that he has? Like, perhaps an A-lister, because we see A-listers getting associated with mainstream commercial masala films only. They kind of sort of stay away from the indie or content-oriented films, like perhaps in Lincoln, with Rajkumar would do. So I just want to ask you, like, as a producer, have you faced any challenges ever in convincing an actor to play a particular part, and then any such incident that you
I think what happens is, as a producer of independent films, you always, of course, aspire to work to get a star to sort of act in the films that you're making, but also at the same time, it's a very script dependent thing. Some films just we know when we set out that okay, this we cannot take to stars. So then we just go out to the bunch of actors that we feel are just best suited for the role, etc., etc. And so we are also not limited. And I mean, it's not limited. It's just that there is a lot that goes into the marketing. Like I said, all the other variables that connect a film when a film has a star, and with uh, when we are making, for example, festival films.
think the budget plays an important factor? Perhaps to get an A-lister on board, the last film
It
is
does.
also
It does, and we have to be mindful of the fact that this is an industry, and at the end of the day, whatever we make is up. It is a film that has to be released, has to be viewed. There is a cost associated to the marketing, etc., etc. And that is the status quo. That's the reality. It is, and over a period of time, what has happened and will keep happening is that more and more actors will begin at the levels of festival films, etc., etc., and gain popularity to become stars. I mean, Rajkumar Rao a few years back that did beautiful films. He's still doing beautiful films, but he started off with smaller films, and today he's a star. So we'll always have that.
also as a director. What are your plans ahead? Will we be seeing you directing more films and perhaps a mainstream film feature film?
I don't know about the mainstream feature. I for sure know that I'm going to be making a few more shorts.
Okay.
Uh, I think short films also what happens is it's a great, like I all my director friends, I keep thinking about them being, when you're a director, you're making a film, it takes you around 1.5 to 2 years to make a film from 0 to 100. Uh, I mean, writing, pitching, getting it greenlit, etc., etc. 1 to 2 years at least. Okay, उसमें you get to direct for 60 days of your life. Actual on-set direction. Everything else is, of course, a part of direction, but the very process of being on set, the magic where it all happens, is a 7 दिन maximum. Okay, in a whole year. I feel like I also don't have any formal experience of assistant direction or associate directing or even screenwriting for that matter. I've only produced for that matter. And I love the set. I love being on set. So to me, I think for now, immediate future, I just want to be making smaller short films, a few of them, learn the craft before I even sort of want to dive down into the entire machinery of a feature film. So, yeah. And also, what I want to do is I want to not stop producing. So I think what because of this film, the one advantage that I could bring to the table as a producer as well as I could facilitate my collaborators' films, like my co-creator Anukampa on this film. I've seen her work on this, and I'm like, okay, you're ready to be a director. Go out there and make a film, and I can produce it for you now. I have experience as a producer as well. So yeah.
Who are the actors that you would want to direct in a short film form? Are there any
Could you
particular actors? Who are the actors that you would want to direct in your films? Are there any particular set of actors which you like as performers and you would want to direct at some point in future in your short films or a feature?
I mean, many. I love Manoj Vajpayee. I love Gulshan Devaiya. I would love to work with Vicky again, and Shabana ji, Tabbu. So many fabulous actresses as well. Yeah, I don't know in shorts or features, whatever way I can uh, work with them because it's a. I always feel like directors get a lot of unfair credit for all the work in that sense because a lot of the magic actually happens with what actors actually bring to a film, and every step of that is a learning process for you as a director, especially if you also have written the film because you're like, okay, I imagined this character to be XYZ. He's going to do this in the scene. However, this person has done it differently, and that to me is like great. It's such a learning experience to know that even this could be interpreted differently by the actor itself. So imagine how many more minds it can go and be interpreted differently, etc. So yeah, those are the things I really like about. Yeah,
Also, Natkhat के बारे में क्या कुछ मैसेज रहेगा for the audiences? Anything you want to tell about the film to end it to the audiences about Natkhat?
I think just that change begins at home, and our kids are assimilating way more from the environment around us than we know or are aware of. And hence, it is extremely important to set an example also at the right age. You know, the reason the age of the kid in this film is 7 is because it's a very impressionable age. So, teaching your children the virtue of equality between not just men and women, but every human being in that sense. Even right now, the Black Lives Matter entire incident, it's ingrained patriarchy, it's ingrained prejudices, and that can only be sort of you have to start at zero. The society is not going to change that. Society is going to constantly remain prejudiced, and your child is going to learn that. You have to make him unlearn all of it at home.
Great. Thank you for talking to us, Shaan, and congrats on the film. And hope to
Thank
see
you.
more work from you. And I hope you get well soon because you told me that you're under the weather a bit. So let me.
Yeah, this change in weather has come and like really shook my system. Okay.
Thank you so much for talking to us. Thank you.
Thank you, Sandesh. See you. Bye bye.
Watch E-Town News Monday to Friday at 9:30 p.m. only on Zoom.